I'm still fast on my feet. And slow where it counts, if you know what I mean.
You look a little dead where it counts to me.
The Old Soft Shoe, episode 18 of season 2 of Tales from the Darkside. A great episode that is sexy and a little scary at the same time. That's right, this is Tales from the Darkside, turning up the heat meter to a, well, PG-13 level. I mean, it's still a TV show. But we have our main character, Chester Caruso, who's a lingerie salesman. And he goes to this dingy motel to get a room and get out of the cold, as he is a traveling lingerie salesman. And as we've learned in Tales from the Darkside, apparently if you're a salesman, you're a scumbag. He immediately tries to cheat on his wife with a girl who's way out of his league, named Carol, who rejects him.
You, two together?
Well, if you only have one, we could share.
No, we're not together.
And is overall a super horny but also super old dude. His character Carol is played by Kathy McLean, who has exactly one acting credit. That's right, this is the only thing you'll ever see her in. My guess is she was probably a model that they just put into this episode because they needed a hot girl. But she plays her part well enough. The hotel manager is a guy by the name of Arthur, who you might recognize the voice of since he actually voiced Piglet in Winnie the Pooh, up until his death in 2005. And in this episode, he kind of talks like Piglet.
Well, I ain't got no more rooms.
Well, what's that? There's a key hanging there.
That's cottage number 7. I don't let nobody go in there.
But it's much needed comic relief for what is a sad episode. Chester is given the keys to cottage number 7 after begging Arthur to give him a room for the night, as Carol took the last one. Arthur argues with him for a little bit, but finally obliges, saying that he doesn't usually let people rent this cottage. We learn later that's because a murder happened in this hotel room. And after laying down his lingerie, turning on a hot bath, he gets greeted by a woman by the name of Glenda.
Oh, Harry. I'm so glad you came back to me.
But I'm not Harry.
We mustn't go too fast. Remember what happened the last time. I am trying so hard to please you.
But I'm not Harry.
And this ghost lady has decided that she's in a relationship with Mr. Chester. And while he does protest a little bit, she's very, very attractive, and he's old and horny. So eventually he gives into this, and they have a little dance.
Remember the first time you saw me, Harry? It was at that dance pavilion down by the lake. Right there, at first sight.
I did?
He mentions they used to call him Old Soft Shoe because he was a ballroom dancer in a past life. Though we don't really get to see any of his amazing moves. Just the very basic 1-2. She's jealous too, of course, and also, shoots him.
You've broken my heart one too many times, Harry.
Oh my God.
Bye, Harry.
Chester dramatically breaks into the leasing office and tells the motel owner, Mr. Piglet himself, that he's been shot. Of course, this is all in his mind. There's no blood anymore. Motel owner goes into room number 7, looking for this girl that supposedly shot Chester, and he looks and talks like Elmer Fudd. They're definitely doing a play on Bugs Bunny here with his hat and his shotgun, creeping around extremely unmenacingly. A lot happens in this episode. You know that this girl is a ghost, but you can't really figure out which parts are real and which parts aren't. And I think a dingy motel setting is perfect for Tales from the Darkside. They can't do elaborate sets, which is why they don't really try any science fiction episodes. At least not full-on science fiction episodes. They just can't quite pull it off. The set looks very similar to the one we saw on Ben the Boar in the show Monsters. And it's also playing on the fact that Chester knows that this woman is a ghost, but because she's kissing up on him, rubbing up on him, and he's very lonely, he doesn't ever leave this cottage and meets his demise. They explain why the hotel owner was so reluctant to rent cottage number 7, as he has a very personal connection to it.
That's that same room that young gal drowned your daddy in. If I remember correctly, she went and killed herself right after we questioned her.
The music fits this episode. It plays kind of jazzy, softcore porn music and also kind of cheap jazz, but it fits the atmosphere and actually works, since it's supposed to be a play on what happened many, many years ago. Crackling through an old stereo that Chester mentions he hasn't seen these type of old radios since he was a kid. I really like the old soft shoe. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It shows that there is still life left in Tales from the Darkside. It's a more mature episode, and the characters all play their parts really well. You don't know what's going to happen next, and is able, unlike a lot of other episodes, to seamlessly transition through a bloody shooting, to a ballroom dance scene, to him drowning in the tub, to him getting the cops involved, and it all flows together because you know this ghost girl is in control the entire time, all while having this 50s aesthetic. There's also a few funny moments. I mean, the fact that they make him a lingerie salesman and he's attempting to sell lingerie to this neighbor of his, and a scene where the motel owner walks in on him while he's holding up his lingerie and thinks he's a cross-dresser, is a joke that actually lands. Good job, Tales from the Darkside. We learned earlier the hotel owner played Piglet in Winnie the Pooh. Well, Chester is played by Paul Dooley, who was in the Popeye movie as Wimpy, and also in 16 Candles and Hairspray. He's actually still acting to this very day. His last credit in 2023 in the movie Boy Makes Girl. So good job, Paul Dooley. All the actors in this episode are quite good. Next up, season 2 is episode 19, The Last Car. Easily in the top 5 most infamous episodes of Tales from the Darkside. In doing my deep research on this series, it seems like this episode was mentioned more than any other. It seems like when they did reruns of Tales from the Darkside, they played this one constantly, because seemingly everyone remembers seeing this on TV. And it's quite a good episode that takes place in a train car, where a university student named Stacy has to deal with the other customers and other ghosts on this train. Check out our playlist for all episodes of Cowboy Bebop, Tales from the Darkside, Monsters, and Fear Itself in Order. See you later.
I'm not gonna go to pieces when I ride around this town.